Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It is the 2 PM show and I'm joined by my pal. He's back from his holidays. I'm joined by Ricky. As you can see by the title and the thumbnail, fresh start under Sir Jim. There's talks of a complete clear out, a complete restructuring of the footballing side of things at Manchester United, but can that really happen with only 25%? I'm very much doubtful while the Glazers are still here, but we're going to get into the discussions, talk about the news, also have a catch-up on all things football, Ricky, because you've been gone for a little while on your holidays, but it's great to have you back in the studio.
Glad to be back as well.
We're having
I've missed it.
Yeah, we've missed you here. We were having a good discussion before we went live. We'll bring it into the show, talking about Erik ten Hag. Obviously, Sir Jim's massively backing ten Hag. Does he really have to say that? Probably yes, if he's just coming to the footballing club. But Ricky, first things first, I wanted to get your opinions on this. I know you're not massive on the takeover, but I do want to touch on it. And with the news that Sir Jim is probably going to acquire 25% of Manchester United for just over £1.4 billion, there's news coming out that at Ineos, there is admiration for the work of Ten Hag that he has done in little over a year at Manchester United, and sources close to Sir Jim Ratcliffe believe that there are problems at the club, but Ten Hag is not one of them. Thoughts on that?
I don't agree. I think he is one of the problems. I really don't think he's doing such a great job at all. I've not been over the moon with his signings. I'm not over the moon with his team selections. Lots of things that I'm not happy with, you know what I mean? So, I don't agree. I think he is a problem.
And for you, how can you, for people at home that disagree with you, for example, like myself, I do like Ten Hag and I think he's got a good future at Manchester United. What would you counteract them with? What argument would you counteract them with? Or why he's not a good manager in your opinion?
There's so many different things, but one of the things I will bring up, I mentioned on the tour in the States, and I know a lot of people say that was only pre-season friendlies, but I'll back it up with something else after that. But when we played in the pre-season tour in the States, every time the second team played, they played better than the first team, and they played in the same games against the same teams. Every time the first team went off and the second team came on, they played better than the first team did. Then we played Borussia Dortmund in Vegas, and he started with the second team, and they played really well. And then they replaced them with the first time, and it all went down with the first team, and it all went downhill. Now that's only a pre-season tour, but when you're playing football, you do play football to the best of your ability when you play. And the second team were clearly better than the. I'm not saying every player should be in the first team who's in what is basically his second team, but a lot of them should. And then this season, when the season started, we're playing terrible. We're playing terrible virtually week in, week out. Then he gives the second team a run out against Crystal Palace and they played brilliant. What's difficult to see? I don't understand what's so difficult to see. I think I saw you on a show. Was it Mark Ogden who said that Casemiro's only played one really good game this season? Yeah. And it was against Crystal Palace in the League Cup. I wish I was here. I would have said to him, he was playing with better players. He was playing with Palestri and Garnacho on the wings. He was playing with Martial at number 9 and with Hannibal at number 10. No wonder he played better. Players play better with better players. Those players are better than the players that are playing in the first team in those positions every week. And it was the same on the pre-season tour, and they've only had one opportunity to show it during the season, and they've showed it again. How many times has it got to happen before he realises how good those players are? The backup players, in many instances, are better than the regular first-choice players.
What would you say to someone who said, well, Ten Hag managed to get third spot last season in the league after the lowest point score in Manchester United's side in Premier League history, won a Carabao Cup after 6 years of not winning anything? What would you say to that? Because that was a good achievement.
It was a good achievement, but it was a false position in the league. There's a lot I could speak about that. You know what I mean? We could maybe come to that later. But it was a false position. You know, we won too many games by the odd goal. We really struggled to get by, and we didn't really deserve to be third in the league, in my opinion. We got there. He got third in the league. We didn't. I think most people said that there was no pattern and that we didn't really play well in most games, but we still somehow ended up in third position. And I could go into a long speech. Do you want me to do it now or later?
No, you can talk about it, because I was interested to listen to it before, which is why I brought it up, because a lot of people say points on the board don't lie, and you were saying, well, actually, Beth, maybe they do sometimes. I wanted to get your stance on it.
I said to you a while ago, have a look at find that TED talk with Rasmus Ankerson does the talk, and I can't remember the guy who he works for, but he met this guy who's got a gambling company, and he's made millions and millions, multi-millions of pounds out of gambling on football. So I think their thoughts are worth listening to. You know, if somebody wants to argue back against it, come back when you've earned £1 million gambling on football. These people reckon that the league table does lie because football is such a low-scoring sport. In this TED Talk, it's only 15 minutes long and it's well worth watching. TED Talk about Newcastle, it's about Newcastle United. But he talks about football being a low-scoring sport and basketball being a high-scoring sport, to name one of plenty. So in basketball, there's regularly 20, 30 or 40 points difference between the winner and the loser. If you have a bit of luck in a basketball game or a bit of bad luck, the best team can usually overcome that. In football, it's not the same. You know, it's such a low-scoring sport that a lucky goal can win it, a lucky decision, a poor decision, but if we still get poor decisions, even when we've got VAR, you can lose or win a game for multiple different reasons. And then another phrase that I didn't mention to you before is people sometimes mistake luck for genius in football. You win a game 1-0 and fans are happy, you know, the media are happy, but you were lucky that day that you won that game. It could easily have gone the other way. And what they talk about Newcastle United in about 2011, 2012. They finished 5th in the league, having finished in only just above relegation for a few seasons. And they give all the staff an 8-year contract on massive money, and the gambling people said it won't last. And the reason they knew it wouldn't last was because although they finished 5th, they only had a goal difference of 5. So the reason they had a goal difference of 5 is they won loads of games by 1, and they lost a few by 4, 5 and 6. So the goal difference was really low, but they were lucky that the goal spread, if you like, came in so many games where they won by 1. Now, United did exactly the same last year. I think we won 13 games by 1. That's 45 points. Already this season, we've lost 1-0 to Palace, whereas we beat Palace 1-0 last year. It's such a low-scoring sport that it's the luck of the draw sometimes. When I speak about luck, I think I said this to you before, when I speak about luck, some people might think that you're talking about, oh, it was a lucky goal, oh, it was lucky that the referee didn't give this or he didn't give... It's not just that. That's part of it. But it's not just that, but because the spread of your goals is so important, even if you win 1-0 with an absolutely world-class goal, there's a little bit of luck involved in that you scored that goal that day. You might have scored that goal last week instead when you got beat 4-1. So there's a little bit of luck involved about winning games 1-0. So already this season, despite that we've won a few games 1-0, we've lost 1-0 to Palace, whereas we beat Palace 1-0 last year at Old Trafford. So those two games could easily swing round. You know, when you win 1-0, such a low-scoring sport, it's so lucky that you win or unlucky that you lose. You know, we could have beaten them last year and lost to them this year. It's just like that, you know, flip a coin, so to speak. So I think we were in a false position. We won too many games by 1 goal. If you look at the goal, well, I've not even mentioned the goal difference. It was 15. The two teams above us, I think Arsenal's was about 45 and I think City's was about 60. Do you know what I mean? We've got to start scoring more goals, got to start playing better, making better chances and then scoring more goals.
One thing I would say, I actually really, really like your point and I found it really interesting, which is why I wanted you to bring it up onto the show. One thing I would say is you talk about luck. Is it really luck to win 13 games by 1 goal? Or is that...
Each individual
game.
finding
the right moment to score and then having a very good defence?
Each individual... Yeah, but if you win by 1, the luck is... You're going to need luck to... I mean, already this season, Wolves should have had a penalty in the last minute and the ref didn't give it.
We've had decisions go against us as well.
I know, Beth, but you're not really seeing my point.
No, I am seeing your point.
You get good luck and you get bad luck. Of course you do. But I think to win 13 games by the odd goal, let me put it this way, I would suggest that it's very unlikely, and we'll keep a track of it, that we can win 13 games by 1 goal. It's 45 points, that's quite a lot of points. I'll be surprised if we win 13 games by 1 goal. We've already won, and we won 2 by what we beat Wolves 1-0, we beat Forest 3-2. Is that it? I think that might be it.
2-1 Brentford.
2-1 Brentford.
One thing I would say, which I do agree with you on, is that we massively do need to score more goals and create better chances. I think last season it got covered up by the fact our defence was actually very solid and got us out of a lot of situations, and we could just score 1 goal and we know we probably wouldn't concede. Whereas this season, we've been conceding for fun, and our defence/goalkeeper has been a shambles, so to speak, and we've not been able to score as well. So
I don't think we've let too many more goals in the first 8 games than we did last season in the first 8 games. So give him a chance to settle yet, do you know what I mean?
I mean, the start of last season wasn't great either, let's be honest.
Exactly.
Caleb Baker says, I think I'd say that the better players Ricky's talking about are just working harder, but there's something to be said about dropping players who aren't putting in the effort despite their skill.
Can I come back on that?
You can, of course.
They do work hard, they work very hard, but they give the simple passes and they look for the simple passes. They make themselves available and they're more prepared to give easy passes and keep the ball with the red shirt.
Someone said 39 points and not 45, still a lot of points. Ethan O'Brien said, after Ricky mentioned that TED Talk video last time, I did go away and watch it. Very insightful. Glad to see it mentioned here again. Ricky, GOAT. Love that. James Guy says, when luck becomes frequent, is it a question if it's luck? That's what I was trying to say. Like, because we're doing it that much, is it really that lucky? Do you actually get what I'm saying?
It's an interesting point.
Someone also said, what's wrong with winning games 1-0?
There's nothing wrong with winning games 1-0 if you do hang on to it.
You love a 1-0 win.
I love a 1-0 win. if you can hang on to a 1-0 win, I've got nothing wrong with winning 1-0. But if we want to start competing for the top trophies, we've got to win more games more comfortably. I mean, I'll put it this way. If you just mentioned Crystal Palace got an injury time equaliser at their place last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that's how it can go against you. You know, you need, if you're 2 or 3-0 up, it doesn't matter, does it, if they score in injury time?
Well, it was like in the game against Burnley. That was another 1 goal.
Yeah.
Only need to buy 1 goal.
Oh, yeah.
In the game against Burnley away, I was thinking when Ten Hag didn't make the substitutions, which I thought he should have made, and we were hanging on for dear life at the end, one little thing happens and you're walking away with a 1-1.
Yeah.
And it's a really frustrating day, and everyone's really agitated by it.
So we've already won 4 games by 1 this season.
Well, it's happening a lot.
Maybe it'll happen again. I
think it will with the team that we've got at the moment. We don't really seem confident going into games. Let's put it that way. But it's also coming out that if Ineos does acquire Sporting Control, sources say Ratcliffe would enact a holistic overview of the club's performance at every level, taking time to learn what works, what does not work, and consequently what needs to change. So Ricky, I would ask you, one, I know you're not too into it, but I'm going to ask you the question. How are you feeling about this 25% stake that Sir Jim is probably going to acquire? And 2, what does need to change at the club?
Right, well, first of all, when it comes to the finances of the club, it's a bit above my pay grade to talk about that, to be honest.
Trust me, I feel like I need to go to Harvard Business School or something, get my old Woods cap on.
I think all I can say is hopefully it's just a step in the right direction, and that maybe one day he does get complete control of the club. I don't know how long that could take, but we've been moaning for long enough to wanting the Glazers out, and I know they're not out, and I know that they're still there, but at least it looks like they're selling. It's not done yet, is it? But it looks like they're selling a quarter of the club, and you never know what that could lead to.
Well, Ricky, you've always been one to say to me, and we were having a discussion on text the other day about Johnny Evans being a great transfer for, well, you think he was a great transfer for Man United this summer, and to be fair, the games he's played, he's done very well in. But there's talk about Man United potentially getting a new director of football with Sir Jim taking control of the football inside and things changing in that sense. I know you've been disappointed with the recruitment of Man United for quite a long time, but you are in the bracket that sometimes it doesn't have to be the most expensive, biggest names to make the biggest impact. I mean, what would change with a new director of football coming in? Well, what would you want to change, especially considering we're not going to have an unlimited budget? With Sheikh Jassim, Qatar, we probably would have had a much bigger budget than what we're going to have now with Sir Jim. Well, how would you tackle that with a new director of football?
Well, a director of football surely got to sit down with the manager and identify targets and decide how much they want to spend on that, what they would value that player at. So when I said earlier that I'm not happy with the manager's signings, I've heard people say that maybe the manager just says, well, I want that player, and they go out and get him. So they ended up getting, I think, was it 80-odd million quid for Anthony? Do they not sit
90
down? 90 million. Do they not sit down with the manager and say, well, we can get him, but it looks like it's going to cost this much. Do you still want him? Is it that important of that value?
And sometimes you have to say no.
If I was the manager, I'd say no. I wouldn't have wanted Anthony at that sort of money. Definitely not. So surely they have to sit down and decide that. I saw somebody on Twitter. It might have been you. I saw somebody on Twitter asking who's who's United's best signing under the Ten Hag era, and nearly everybody was putting Varane and
Varane wasn't Ten Hag.
Sorry, Martinez and Casemiro. I mean, how much was Martinez?
Martinez was, I think he was like 57 million.
And how much was Casemiro?
70 mil.
Right. Surely Eriksen's a better signing. Surely. He's played loads of games. He only missed games. We went downhill, by the way, when he got injured. He only missed games last season because he had a serious injury. And that serious injury has nothing to do with his age. You know, that Andy Carroll did him, didn't he?
Yeah.
In that Reading game. And he's back now. And whenever he comes on the park now, we look a bit better when he comes on. Surely for nothing. People don't even consider that. And to me, 60 million quid and 70 million quid, and another player who's playing loads and loads of games, and at the minute, for me, isn't playing as many games as he should do, signed him for nothing. That's the best signing.
I mean, I'm with you in the sense that for a free signing, Eriksen was a very good deal to make as a squad player. I don't think Eriksen should be
He wasn't a squad player last year. He was starting every week.
I know he was, and he did well at the start of the season. I thought he did tail off after his injury, to be honest with you. And I do think Eriksen, everyone was singing his praise at the start of last season, how good of a signing that wasn't a free. For me, Eriksen, and I'm not saying the players that in now are either, because they're not playing to that, but for me, you still need to be a level above Eriksen to be playing in midfield for Manchester United at the top level. I think he's a great squad player to have, and he can play certain games, but he's just not got the legs, I think, to be in that midfield game in, game out.
Still all right for £0.
Exactly. For
still all right for £0.
For free, it was a good signing, but...
Johnny Evans is a great signing. £0. I mean, you can't sign all your squad for £0. You can't sign all your squad, but at least it balances it out a bit. Do you know what I mean? Johnny Evans, might only be a squad player, but I've said to you, I think he'll play a lot more games than you think.
Do you? I mean, with Johnny Evans, he stepped in and done well, but he even said himself that he wasn't expecting to be playing much this season, and that he literally came in as like a 5th, 6th choice centre-back. I personally think he's probably above of Maguire in Ten Hag's eyes. Ten Hag doesn't really seem to rate Maguire at all, but when you look at Johnny Evans, realistically, is he a centre-back that should be starting for Man United week in, week out? No.
You're answering me a question and answering it yourself.
Yeah, but I'm asking you.
Well, let's put it this way. We all want. Everybody seems to want Martinez playing. I've seen Martinez play a few games this season. I've not seen him play as well as Johnny Evans has in the 2 games that he's played. Nothing like. His passing's nowhere near as good. Short passing and long passing. Johnny Evans is better footballer than Martinez by a country mile.
Ricky, no.
He is.
No,
he is better.
No. Martinez, when he's playing well, is brilliant at passing the ball up from the back. Martinez was carrying an injury at the start of the season.
Okay, maybe he was carrying an injury, but I've seen him play this season and I was not happy with him at all.
This season, he's not been very good.
I've not been happy with him.
This season, he's not been very good, but last season, you even said to yourself that
last season, he missed the last... Did he not miss the last 2 months? And Lindelof was playing, and we look better with Lindelof there than Martinez. We've spent 60 or 70 million quid, and the fans love new toys, and he's just okay, Beth, that's all.
I think Martinez is above okay. I think Martinez is
better than okay.
I think Martinez is a very good player. I think he suffered with injury, and I think because our standards have been set so low in terms of how poorly we've played this season, anyone could have come into that back line and made us look a bit better. Johnny Evans is a good player and he's played well, but let's not over the pudding. He shouldn't be playing week in, week out. He should be, at best, a squad player to come in and fill in, and that's what his role should be.
Even if he plays each week like the 2 games that he's played already.
But I think it also shows how especially our defence, is not up to the quality it should be across the board. I mean, you've got your two. I
think when everybody's fit, it's not. Look, we're not Man City, are we? I hate saying that, but we're not. Apart maybe Arsenal at the minute as well. But if we're at full strength, our back fours. But you've only just argued with me that last season we got 3rd because the defence was so good.
I'm saying but I'm saying in the terms of the fact our 2 starting centre backs have injury problems. Yeah. Martinez has had the same issue twice now, and I really hope it does get better. But he was out for 2 months. Now he's out again for 3 months. Varane's injured every other game, and then you look past that. Ten Hag doesn't rate Maguire. Lindelof was very good at the end of last season, but for me, start of this season has been poor and not up to scratch. And then you've got Evans there, and that's why he's getting game time, because nobody's kind of up to scratch so far this season across the board, whether it comes to injuries, whether it comes to quality. And when you look at other teams, and for example, Saliba at Arsenal, all City centre-backs are brilliant, and you look at the quality, we're not quite at that pedigree.
When you say all City centre-backs, you do know that Pep tried to sign Johnny Evans only about 3 or 4 seasons ago, don't you?
Johnny Evans is a good centre-back. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm saying at this stage in his career, he shouldn't be coming into Manchester United to start games.
How old is he?
I swear he's 37. He's 35. He's 35. He's 35.
He's sweet yet for a year or two.
He's 35.
Let's move on. Let's agree to disagree.
Casemiro's 31, and people are saying he's lagging a little bit.
Yeah, but there's different. It affects people differently. How old's Varane, by the way? Can you look that up quickly, or can somebody tell you?
Yeah, I'll have a look. I think he's 29, but I'll have a look. Varane is 30. So
Varane's 30. To me, when I watch Varane play, I don't see a player who looks very agile. He looks. To me, he looks like he's 35. He looks a little bit rigid the way he runs. And when I see Johnny Evans play, I see an agile player.
Yeah.
Johnny Evans looks better to me than Varane looks. He looks better. I don't care what his CV is, what he's won in the past. I'm talking about me watching him play for Man United. I always say to you, I want to watch a player play for Man United before I make my mind up. And there might be a reason why Real Madrid have let him go. They might see this decline, I don't know. But to me, he doesn't look agile on the pitch, Varane. He looks all stiff the way he runs.
I think Varane's great when he's playing well.
Well, anyway, I think Johnny Evans looked better so far.
Okay. Lewis Bell says, ask Rick what sensible Reds is.
Sensible Reds?
Yeah.
Who's asked that?
He's just gone now. Somebody asked. Lewis Bell. Louis Bell. Ask Rick what sensible Reds is. I have no idea. Unless that's some sort of like
I'm in a little WhatsApp group that's nicknamed Sensible Reds, but there's nobody called. Who's it? Louis Bell. He's not in it, so I don't know if that's the answer.
I mean, it'll be interesting. Well, Ricky, I want to ask you about something else. Daryl Bainbridge, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. I want to ask you another question here. There's talks today that Erik ten Hag is looking to offload Sancho, Martial, and Donny van de Beek in January. I said myself, I think getting rid of Martial in January would be a mistake, because I don't think we'll go and buy anybody else. And then I'd rather have him as an option than have Hojlund and Rashford. What would your thoughts be on that? Because I know you really do like Anthony.
I think it'd be a terrible decision to sell him. I think he should be playing more. We just spoke about that Crystal Palace game. He was vital in that game, moving the ball around. We need Martial to play more. Never mind get rid of him.
Well, his contract ends in the summer, which is maybe why they're looking at getting.
So there is that. I don't know what they think they might get for him. 30 million, perhaps.
I think you're in dreamland, Rick.
Seriously, for Anthony Martial.
Just because
if he stays fit, I think they'll get 30 million.
Just because of his injury record.
Mind you, there's also the thing that the contract's nearly up. Some club might say
injury record.
People might not want to give anything for him because they can sign him for. I know there'd be competition for him. But he can sign for somebody for nothing come June, can't
200 grand a week. What sort of competition do you expect to be there for Martial in the summer? If he is on a free, which I think he will be, because I think the same situation will happen with what happened with De Gea, where the contract just gets run down because Martial's on 200 grand a week. I don't think anyone's going to come in and pay them wages.
If they can sign him for nothing, the big clubs will be in for him. Proper big clubs.
I mean, say if Martial went in January and then we didn't sign a replacement and then it was just, Hojlund and Rashford, is that enough striker depth?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Martial, if he stays, I know it's a big if, but the thing is, he's been fit now for 6 or 8 weeks. He seems to be on the bench or playing virtually every week. Well, he's on the bench virtually every week. He played against Crystal Palace. I think the last league game he started was against Arsenal. It was 1-1 when they took him off and we got beat 3-1. And I just think it'd be crazy to get rid of him. I think he should be playing more. There isn't enough difference. I know he's the future Hojlund. I get that. I understand the fans loving him. I know he's pacey and he's strong. He's a different type of player. I think I said this on a different show. After the Arsenal game, I saw Hojlund's comments, or I heard Hojlund's comments. He was comparing himself to Martial, and he said Martial's a technical player who likes to go looking for the spaces, whereas I'm a player who likes to go into battle. to me, you could change those words and say, he's a better player than me, but I go and try my hardest. You know what I mean? So I think we would be a better team still at the minute with Martial at number 9 rather than Hojlund. We would be a better team. We would play better football.
No.
Yes, we would. And we would create better chances. We would play better like we did against Crystal Palace. But Hojlund is the battering ram and he's the fans' favourite and he's pacey, he's determined and all that. But he's not as good at that as Martial, as he said himself. Technically, receiving the ball, bringing players into the game, helping us to develop our play.
Just so you know I'm a big fan of Martial, but I have to say Hojlund's massively impressed me.
He's impressed me, Beth, but in a different way.
He's the type of number 9 where a ball comes into the box, he's doing everything to throw himself at it and get on the end of it. You know, Martial aerially isn't that great. Technically, with his feet, he's good. And he's also got the pace to run in behind defenders. He's got the height. He's got the physicality. I just think Hojlund has everything. And as a potential player, he should be playing up front for Manchester United. But I'm not saying they can't play together because they could play in a 2 up front. Martial could play off the left. And I think to find a place for Martial in that team with Hojlund would be lovely to see. But to say Martial should start ahead of Hojlund is quite bold considering the impact Hojlund's had.
I didn't mean it to sound that he should start ahead of him, i.e. that's the only thing you can do. I would agree with you 100% that Martial could play on the left and Hojlund could keep the number 9 spot. And I think Hojlund would start scoring more goals if Martial was playing on the left. And before people jump in, Martial doesn't have to make them. All he has to do is get hold of the ball and pass it, and it's infectious. The way Martial plays, it's infectious. Whenever he's on the pitch, we play a little bit better. Same applies to Eriksen. Look after the ball, pass it around, and opportunities can or will arise more often because players like that are on the field. Doesn't have to be them who play the final pass. They just help us to play better. So if Martial was playing on the left, Hojlund would get more chances and he would score more goals. That would be my preferential choice. But you were talking about strikers when you asked me about it. And if I only had the choice of playing at number 9, my first choice would still be Martial.
Of course it would.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Are we playing well? When do we play well?
By the way, I don't think there's as much as a difference as what people think. I would personally, from what Hojlund's given us so far, go with Hojlund, and I think he's brilliant for the future. But I do think Martial's a good player, and it's just whether he can stay fit is a big issue.
As well.
And that's probably
now,
why
people have argued that with me and said, yeah, but you can't trust him to stay fit. Look, he's been fit 6 or 8 weeks. Stick him in the team. If he breaks down, look, if you're not playing him anyway, does it matter if you play him and he breaks down? Do you know what I mean? You're not playing him anyway.
Well, there's a poll in the chat. Should Martial leave United? You can have your say on that right now. Already, Ricky, coming in. 69% say yes, he should. Probably a lot to do with the injury record. Michael, and I think people... He's been here for a long time. I think people could take that into consideration as well. Michael Murray says, I really hope Ricky and Scott McTominay stay forever at Manchester United. Love you too. Well, talks on Scott McTominay as well. And someone just put a really good chat in the group, in the community saying if Martial breaks down, then there's no chance of selling him. So that could be a thing as well.
That's not a bad shout.
Maybe selling while he's fit. But I wanted to ask you, because with Sir Jim coming in, there was reports going around that he wants a core of British players at Manchester United. Scott McTominay is a British player. He's obviously Scottish, but that is in Britain for everyone, geography lesson. But yeah, it is a core of British players. Apparently, Ten Hag was never pushing McTominay to leave. It was only if McTominay got a good offer, they would take it into consideration. Whereas Maguire, he did want him to leave. Scott McTominay, Rick.
Yeah.
You've always kind of been tarnished with the brush that you're a big McTominay fan. You've never said that he's one of your favourite players. You just think he's got good attributes and he's better than some of our other players.
He's got good attributes, and the thing that I always used to argue is don't tarnish him with the same. Used to get this your fault as well. He always used to get tarnished with the same brush as Fred. Miles better than Fred. It's not a coincidence. They get €8 million for Fred, and we turned down 30 million quid for McTominay. It's not a coincidence. He's miles better.
I wouldn't say miles better.
He is, he's miles better, much stronger, and he's just a better on the ball. He's just miles better, like nobody. Well, in 30 million quid mile, and we didn't even take it. 30 million quid's miles better than €8 million in it, wasn't that? I think that was what we got for it. Yeah.
True. But I mean, with Scott McTominay, Ricky scored them 2 goals coming off at Brentford. Was robbed of a brilliant goal playing for Scotland. I mean, what are your thoughts on McTominay? Would you want him to stay, and do you think he should be getting more game time?
He should get him more game time, definitely. I would like him to stay. I think he'd be a great squad player, and he's, when I say a squad player, I don't mind when he starts. You mentioned that free kick for Scotland. I've got to mention this. I was watching that game live, and that free kick, for anyone who hasn't seen it, was outside the penalty box, but it was only about 4 yards perhaps, or maybe 5 yards from the dead ball line. It wasn't outside the box in front of the goal. It was out to the wing where you would normally cross the ball, or fire a hard one across the face of the goal. So I saw McTominay lining up to take it. There was nobody stood with him. Sometimes there's two players stood there and you can't work out who's going to take it. But he was stood there on his own. And I thought, what's he doing there taking that? Is he 6'3" or 6'4"? I thought, surely he should be in the box. And then he took it. Wow, what a free kick. When it comes to free kicks, i.e. shots on goal, it's the only free kick I've ever seen him take. Now, obviously playing for United A, he's not starting anyway. But B, obviously Bruno takes him. Never seen Bruno hit a free kick like that ever. Name one. Never. You know what I mean? And I've only seen him take one, so maybe that's worth looking at. Maybe that's worth looking at. So, what are you laughing at?
You know, I can't.
What a free kick, though! It was an absolute cracker.
It was a brilliant free kick.
And they obviously knew.
If Bruno scored something like that, you'd be like, oh.
No, but the difference is, if Bruno scored that, he's probably took 15 like that. You know, I've seen him take one. And
you always twist things to suit your...
Also, get this. It's not Sunday League football. You know, I used to play Sunday League football, and in Sunday League football, you get lads saying, I want to take that, or go on, let me take this one. It's not like that. This is like international football. That was a plan. They understood his capability. You know, the Scotland manager deserves enormous credit. Scott McTominay hasn't gone to McGinn, let me have a go at this one. It's something that they've tried and they've gone, we'll give that a go. What a goal. And to get robbed of it was a joke.
What I do agree, by the way, is that, one, it was a brilliant free kick, and two, Bruno shouldn't be taking as many free kicks because his set pieces aren't very good. But that doesn't mean I think Scott McTominay, because he scored one really good free kick that got disallowed, should automatically be on Man United set pieces. Not
necessarily, because he won't obviously necessarily be on the park either. But if he can hit a ball like that, it's a little bit like I've said about Johnny Evans. If he can play like that every week, why shouldn't he play? And if he can hit a free kick like that every time he takes one, why shouldn't he take it?
I just find it funny because with McTominay, with you, Rick, he'll have like 5 really poor games and you'll somehow be on holiday. I won't be here. And then as soon as you come back, he's done really well. And you're like,
he doesn't play enough games.
If he can do that every week, it's like Brighton, you're away. Bayern Munich, you're away. And it's like...
He doesn't play enough games to play 5 poor games. He came on. He had quite a few goals. He came on as a sub against Bayern Munich, and in the period of game that he was on, we won. Well, we did. What can you argue about?
He was poor in that game, and Ten Hag started him against Brighton here, and he was poor. He was poor, and somehow you managed to be away, and then he does really well, and somehow he's back. But that's just what happens. But Darren Willaney says, I hope with Jim we can start scouting and signing younger talent. I think we have too many players, 30 plus. Thoughts on that, Rick?
What, we've got 30 players in the first team squad?
No, we've got too many players over the age of 30.
Oh, sorry, over 30. Right,
we need more young talent, that's what people are saying.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that, but I also wouldn't be discarding people who are worth a place in the first team. If you were, as far as I'm concerned, if you're good enough to be in the team, you deserve to be in the team until the moment comes that you're not good. I don't care if you're 50. If we haven't got a better player than you, you're playing in my book.
Somebody said McTominay was outpaced by the ref against Bayern. That is true. Come on, Rick. Come on. If that was Bruno, you'd be clipping it up on Instagram with about 5 different reels with your little stick.
I do remember.
Showing everyone. So, I mean, on that, we did have a little discussion about when we were talking about the takeover. It was very tongue-in-cheek, but you were talking about how, you know, no matter who the owner is, it just won't change the fact that Bruno gives the ball away too much and Rashford dribbles into players.
Do you know what? Please, anybody who's watching, do not take this as me defending the Glazers. I'm not. I love the Glazers to be gone as much as the next man, so that we've got, you know, more money being used for the infrastructure, obviously more money into the team, but because of the signings of a succession of managers, including Mourinho, including Solskjaer and including Ten Hag.
You do have to look at the recruitment above that as well. obviously.
But these managers must say, I want this player and I want that player. And it just never goes well enough for me. They don't sign enough good players. They do not sign for the amount of money that they spend. I've got no confidence that tells me if we'd spent an extra £500 million on players in the last 24 months, that we'd be any better off. So to me, the fans are making an excuse for the manager or the series of managers. They're making an excuse that the Glazers are, it's the top of the tree. That's how bad it is. Put me in charge tomorrow. We'll start playing better football instantly. The very next day, instantly.
Can I be assistant coach?
Yes, darling.
You'd have to teach me a thing or two, wouldn't you? He's trying.
Instantly, they start playing better football.
I mean, Rashford would be handing a transfer request in very quickly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, talking about that, you did have a point you wanted to make on Rashford about England. There is talks that Rashford is going to start for England tonight, and you wanted to make a point on that in the show.
Yeah, he's going to start in this game tonight, apparently. And I was having a chat with him. It's funny, really, because I didn't know that until I came in, and you've said the rumour is that he's going to play. I didn't know that. But I was saying to somebody only this morning that he never plays in competitive fixtures, Marcus Rashford. And I honestly believe that Gareth Southgate is one of the few people that can see through him. I really do.
Don't tell me you rate Southgate as a manager.
No, I don't particularly rate him.
Okay,
I don't particularly rate him.
We would have had to cancel the show.
Yeah, I don't particularly rate him. No, I don't. Results have been all right recently, as far as I can remember. Results were all, they did all right in Qatar. They did all right. They got to the quarter-final. They got beat by France, who reached the final, and I think they were the holders of the cup at the time. And they've got Mbappe, obviously. That was always going to be a tough game. And I thought they played quite well in that game and were unlucky to lose. I thought the referee gave a couple of bad decisions against them that were pretty poor. I'm pretty sure one lad should have had a red card for a second yellow and he didn't give it. There was a few things that went on that I wasn't happy with the ref. But then also, when you speak about luck, we were speaking earlier about the luck of when you score and when you don't score. Harry Kane took a penalty to make it 2-2. Harry Kane doesn't miss many penalties. So that's really...
From in the World Cup semi-final.
Yeah, but quarter-final, wasn't it? So Harry Kane missed the penalty, which would have made it 2-2.
No, it was semis. Semis, wasn't it?
We didn't get to the semi last time, did we? No, it was a quarter, I'm sure.
Quarter?
Yeah, it was a semi. It was a semi in Russia. It was definitely a quarter. So Harry Kane missed a penalty, which is dead rare. So as a manager, how's your luck? You can't account for Harry Kane missing a penalty. And England seemed to be in the ascendancy at that point. I think England looked like they could have gone on and won it if he'd have just scored that penalty. So there's a lot of luck involved. A hell of a lot of luck. A little bit like the TED talk I just said.
But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Rashford performs. I'm really, honestly, I do not like watching England under Southgate. I've got to be honest. It bores me to death. Don't get excited for the games. Didn't watch it the weekend. Probably will put it on tonight because there's nothing else to do when it's against Italy, isn't it? But Euros and World Cup, I'm banging into it because I, love my football, love my country. But it's just drains the life out of me. But Rashford hasn't been a starter under Southgate for quite a long time, really.
He isn't a starter in serious games. And although this is a serious game tonight, I think you pointed out that if they draw, they qualify. I think that's right. Italy have still got to play.
But it says a lot, doesn't it, that Rashford's star player can't even... Not Rashford's star player, Manchester United's star player, their best player, that people think is world class, can't even start for England.
Yeah.
Really.
If he starts tonight, I said this to you before, we've still got to play Malta at home. If we happen to lose tonight, I believe he's giving him a run tonight in a competitive fixture because he feels he can get away with it. If you want me to explain that a little bit deeper, if we go to the last two tournaments that we've played in, if you go back to the Euros in England, was that 2018, I think, was it? Or was it 2000? No, 20.
20, yeah.
Yeah, 2020. He had 6 wide players in his squad. 6 wingers. I bet it's the only squad in history to have 6 wingers in it. You don't have 6 full-backs or 6 centre-backs or 6 midfield centre-mid, 6 wingers. So he had Sancho, he had Saka, he had Grealish, he had Foden. Rashford, and I'm missing one. Saka, Foden, Grealish, Sancho. I'm definitely missing one. There was 6 in the squad anyway. And 5 out
Sterling.
of Sterling was the other one. Well done. 5 out of the 6 got to start in the whole tournament. Rashford didn't start one game. Not one game. Why would you have a 6th winger when you've got 5 wingers already?
Maybe he sees him as a backup striker as well.
There is that, but come on, Harry Kane's going to play all the time. And Sterling can play through the middle. And he never played him. He didn't start him in any game. Then you come to the next tournament. The only game he started was Wales, and Wales.
We actually did really well that game.
The Wales game was basically a dead rubber. You know, they'd already lost 2 games. They couldn't get through. There's no reason for them to try to beat us apart from a bit of pride. We would have had to have lost to a Wales team who were one of the worst teams in the tournament, and then the other result in the other game would have to have gone against us. Trust me, he knew that. I think he thought that he could draw his team out of a hat that day and they'd still qualify. So he played him in that game. Now we come. This is the.
I think it was a mistake not bringing him on in the game against France.
Well, you know my feelings.
Off the bench.
You know my feelings about him. I don't.
Well, I think if he would have brought him on, it could have been a different story. I mean, bringing Sterling as a super sub when you have Rashford, his pace and his dribbling to go against high defenders.
What, you sooner brings Rashford on than Sterling? Have you seen Sterling?
Off the bench, yeah.
I don't agree.
Off the bench, yeah.
I don't agree.
I mean, should Martial leave United? The poll is over with nearly 2k votes and 73% say yes, Ricky. You've not managed to convince him. Got a super chat in here from Chris saying, if a player's at the club a decade and we can't agree on their quality, then they're not good enough. Nobody argued if Keane, Giggs and Rooney were good enough.
I think some did.
You've always got to come back. Also, Ricky, bit of disappointing news that we've been told today that Tyrell Malacia, Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka are long-term absentees and not expected to be back anytime soon. Gutting, isn't it?
And when you say long-term, how long are we thinking here? We're not thinking all season, are we? Surely 6 weeks or something, surely.
I mean, they've been out for a while. I mean, Malacia...
They've already been out. Shaw's been out a bit now, hasn't he?
Luke Shaw's been out for a very long time.
Desperate to get Luke Shaw back. I mean, obviously we could get other injuries, but if we don't get other injuries, I'm not too concerned about Wan-Bissaka coming back quickly, or Malacia. But Shaw, we're desperate to get him back. Michael
Fetty says, Beth... My 9-year-old daughter really likes you and adores you. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much, Michael. Really do appreciate it. Shout out to your 9-year-old daughter. You've not mentioned her name, but shout out to her. And we have here, Ricky, I wanted to bring up to you as well, that Man United have not lost in the league at Bramall Lane since the 15th of August 1992, the first ever day of Premier League football. Surely Man United have to win on Saturday night.
Have to win. I was chatting to a pal of mine on the phone only yesterday, and I said to him, about this thing about having to score more goals. I said, Newcastle United won their 8-0 the other week, and his response to me was, I'm not even convinced we're going to win, let alone score 6 or 7. So yeah, I think we'll probably win, but it's not going to be as easy as it should be for us. Like I've been saying, it's unlikely that we're going to win by 2, 3 or 4. Hopefully, I hope I'm wrong.
It's that time again where I ask you about what lineup you'd do and how Eric Ten Hag should approach this game. Interestingly enough, last game, it feels like a while ago now because the international break feels like years are going by off my life, but last game, which we didn't discuss because you were living it up in Turkey, but Casemiro got subbed off at half-time.
Yeah. He's not been playing well. I've not been convinced by Casemiro.
And Eriksen kind of played the midfield role. Bruno moving a little bit further forward and dropped deep again. Like they were alternating a little bit in that midfield. But thoughts on Amrabat for a start, and thoughts on Casemiro as well.
Like I say, Casemiro for me, he's not been playing that well, so I'm not too concerned. I mean, I hope he gets fit soon. You know, the more people who got fit, the better. But I'm not too concerned about him missing the game at the weekend, that's all. If you're going to ask me...
He's missing Copenhagen because he got a red, so I assume he will play against Sheffield.
Who, Casemiro?
Yeah,
he's not fit, is he? I thought you just said he's not fit.
No, I said he might be fit. I know he took a knock, but he was training today.
Oh, right.
But he got subbed off at half-time, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah. He got subbed off. He did get subbed off at half-time, but I thought he was unfit for this weekend. I'm sure I've read that somewhere. sure I've read that in the evening news online.
I'm pretty sure we got an update that he was training.
Right.
But let me know in the chat if anyone's had some sort of update, or even in my ear, which I need to put my earpiece back in.
Right.
Someone can let me know. He did train today, so I assume
he should be fit. And well, getting subbed at half time is never nice for any player, so you never know if he will get picked. But sometimes I think the manager bottles it with the big names. Well, if he's fit, he'll probably pick him. He might even if he thinks maybe I shouldn't be picking him, he'll probably pick him.
Well, Ten Hag did say after the game the reason why he got subbed is because he wanted more football.
Yeah, exactly. Eriksen. Eriksen came on for him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. So, looking towards that game, would you, in the midfield, what would your midfield three be?
Completely down to me. Not what I think the manager's going to do.
You can do both.
Like, completely down to me.
Be prepared, everyone.
Completely down to me. I would go McTominay, Eriksen, and McTominay, Eriksen, and I always forget his name.
Hannibal.
Yeah, that'd be my midfield three.
Really?
Yeah, we run him ragged.
So you're not a big fan of Amrabat then?
Yeah, I liked him, yeah. Thought he played well. I think McTominay coming on and getting 2 goals in injury time and playing, he didn't play for long. But
so you'd play McTominay as a CDM still?
Not really. I just think that we need to be able to attack better, and I think we need proper midfield players. And I think with Amrabat, his work rate, Amrabat is absolutely phenomenal, and I just think we could play with 3 proper midfield players who are all entitled to get forward, but when we're defending, they've all got to get back. I saw an article by Johnny Giles. You know who Johnny Giles is?
No.
Okay. He was a big.
That's another one you have to educate me on.
He was a big player for United, and he signed in the early 60s, and he sold him to Leeds, and he ended up the manager of the Republic of Ireland. But he was a brilliant midfield player, and he was only small. And he played for Leeds with a little fella called Billy Bremner. Johnny Giles was Irish, Billy Bremner's Scottish. They were both tiny for midfield players. I think Bremner was about 5'6", I think Giles was about 5'8".
Not your style then?
Not my style, but brilliant footballers. And they look after the ball when they pass it. And there was an article by Johnny Giles that I only saw the other day where he said, I've seen this phrase that's come into football recently called CDM. And he said it shouldn't exist. There should not be a position called CDM. He said whoever is in midfield for you needs to defend together, they need to attack together, they need to look after the ball together, and they need to pass it well together. And when you're defending, they need to be back, and when you're attacking, they need to be forward. There shouldn't be even a phrase that is CDM, and I rate Johnny Giles' opinion in a big way.
Do you think that a midfield of McTominay and Eriksen has enough mobility?
McTominay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't graze slow and gets about slowly.
We've got to just look after the ball. Look, Beth.
Do you not think he's the type of player you should throw on the last half an hour for the height and for the, obviously he's got good technicality, and just throw on and be like, go and get us a goal?
There's no harm in that. There's no harm in that. But
it's really a starter.
But he's only 27. So is he 27? So it doesn't matter that I'm going back to last season here, and it's not like wow, he was a lot younger then or anything like that. Beginning of last season, we beat Liverpool, we beat Arsenal, we won away at Southampton, we won away at Leicester. 4 games on the bounce, including Liverpool and Arsenal, with McTominay and Eriksen in midfield. You know what I mean? I don't see any reason why.
You've always got something to come back at me.
I don't see any reason why it can't be like that.
Do you know what's interesting when you talk about the Johnny Giles and the CDM phrase is it's different because Liverpool, when they had their very, very good spell, they were playing with a midfield 3 that all worked with each other. Yeah, and obviously they had Fabinho, who was like the CDM role, but they all worked together in a really like kind of cohesive fashion. Yeah. At City, they do all work together in a cohesive fashion, but you do have that. Rodri is just absolutely insane.
He's fantastic.
Insane at that role. He is what I would class as like a CDM. Yeah. Like he just looks after it brilliantly, but it helps with the fact he's got players that are intelligent ahead of him and know what spaces to take up.
But didn't he score the winner in the European Cup final?
He did, yeah.
So you mean, attack together, defend together.
Yeah, I mean it's one of them, but it is really, really interesting. I personally wouldn't go with that midfield 3.
I know you wouldn't.
And neither will the manager. Guess what midfield 3 I'd go with?
You would go with, if they're all fit, you'll go with Amrabat, Casemiro and Bruno.
Nope.
No, go on then.
Not against Sheffield on Saturday. I'd go with Amrabat, Mount and Bruno.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Mount, yeah.
I would actually still drop Cassie out. And I have my feelings around Casemiro. I really do like the player, but he's just not been good enough so far this season. I think at Sheffield United you can really go with that. And I know every team is a good team in the Premier League, but I think at Sheffield United you can go with that midfield three. I just hope if he did go with it, because I think the manager will go with it. If he does go with it, what he's got to do is play either Bruno or Mount. Preferably, I would play Bruno in this role, in the same role that Eriksen plays when he plays. If you notice, when Eriksen plays, he plays deeper. Sometimes he's the deepest midfielder, and he plays alongside the likes of an Amrabat or a Casemiro. When Mount plays...
Two players.
When Mount plays...
Forward too much.
Him and Bruno are like too far forward, right forward. In line with the forward players.
Both
and it's
forward.
Just too much of a gap. And
Hallelujah,
I think,
darling.
Yeah,
Hallelujah.
I know. But the manager,
like that for years.
I don't think it's the players though. I think it's the manager telling them. I think he knows Bruno wasn't. Sorry, I think he knows Eriksen hasn't got the capabilities to, do the press and have the legs to do that role that he's asking Mount to do. I think he bought Mount for that reason, but it's not working. I would love to see, Mount as the 10 and Bruno in a more disciplined 8 role alongside the likes of an Amrabat or a Casemiro. But I'm not the manager. Maybe, I wonder what our combination would be if we went into management together. But anyway, I mean, looking towards defensive line, how would you go about that? Just the same way it was against Brentford?
I think Reguilón's fit, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely fit, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I would go Dalot. I don't think Varane's fit, is he?
Varane, I don't even know, but I wouldn't risk him against Sheffield anyway.
Yeah, I would probably... Do you know what? I'd probably stick with it. Harry Maguire did all right. Obviously he's playing. I think he'll play tonight, Harry Maguire, for England, won't he? I think so long as he doesn't have a nightmare tonight.
He's going to start, apparently.
Yeah, as long as he goes all right tonight, because he did all right in the last game for United against Brentford, I would stick with Maguire and Evans. So and I'd feel sorry for Lindelof, because I like Lindelof.
So you're dropping Lindelof and you love him?
Yeah.
Tom Van says McTominay hides from the ball and doesn't look after the ball whatsoever. I agree on that sense, to be honest.
I thought I read in the last game that he started in, he completed 90% of his passing.
I think he had the very few passes.
Yeah, it was very few passes.
I think Amrabat
It was only about 19 passes or something.
I think Amrabat in like 45 minutes had more than McTominay had over like 3 games. It was somewhat like that, something silly like that. It won't be that accurate stats, so don't take it as gospel. But it's the fact he just didn't really get on the ball and he was kind of non-existent, which was annoying for some people. I wanted to ask you, actually, because a lot of people in the chat are asking, people are laughing at the way you're saying Regulon. Regulon.
Is it? Okay, Regulon.
But I wanted to ask you, Mason Mount, thoughts on Mason Mount, because you didn't put him in your midfield there. There's been a lot of back and forth online about Mount. Some fans really like him, some fans think he's, maybe wasn't a player that we desperately needed. What are your thoughts on him?
That might not be a bad shout. He wasn't a player that we desperately needed, but I do think he's playing all right. Yeah, I've been quietly impressed with him, to be honest, but there's just not... You can only pick 11, can't you?
So why does Hannibal getting over Mount for you?
Hannibal looks different class to me. Whenever the manager's going to see this, he played against... he played in the game before the Palace game, didn't he? Who was that against? He started 2 games. Oh, Burnley he started. Burnley. The way he gets hold of it and sees the short passes and the weight of his passing and the energy that he puts into the game, to me, he looks... I think we've got a world beater on our hands. Honestly, I really, really like him. And the manager got to see it in the end. And again, look, people might not play as well as they've played before. I've said this before to you about Johnny Evans. If he keeps playing like he's playing, he deserves to keep his place. Now, the way I nearly said Amrabat then, the way he plays, what's he called again?
Hannibal.
Hannibal, that would mix his name up. But Hannibal, the way he plays, if he can play like he's played in those 2 games, again, he deserves to keep his place. He didn't deserve to be dropped. He played against Bayern. I think he'd already been booked, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he subbed him at half-time against Bayern away. And I thought he was playing all right there. I really did.
I mean, he started against Galatasaray and got subbed at half-time.
Was that Galatasaray?
At home, yeah.
Right.
I thought that was a really unfair substitution. I thought it was one of our better
players. It might be
players.
Galatasaray, I'm thinking
I've been impressed by Hannibal. But I don't think he's better than Mount.
It was Galatasaray.
I don't think he's better than Mount, but I have been impressed by him.
I think he's great.
I have been impressed by him. I played at Birmingham City last year. You like yourself a championship player, Ricky?
You don't mind a championship player coming through? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, there's nothing at all, but I mean, Dan James is still in the Championship.
Yeah, great player.
Interesting stuff. Anyway, so your front three, you'd have Martial in it.
I'd have Martial on the left. I'd have Hojlund at 9, and I'd probably go with, because it's like shoehorning people in. I wouldn't mind Mason Mount playing on the right, but I'd probably go with Pellistri. I just like proper wingers, you know what I mean? I'd go with Pellistri on the right, Hojlund at number 9, Martial on the left, players in midfield who just give the simple ball, not try too many Hollywood balls, McTominay, Hannibal and Eriksen, and we'll absolutely cakewalk it like we did Crystal Palace in the League Cup.
Could you imagine if Ten Hag lines up with that lineup now?
It's not going to happen, is it?
Tune into the show.
Yeah.
But no, seriously. By the way, before I wasn't saying Hannibal is a Championship player. I was having a little joke with Ricky about Dan James, but I do really like Hannibal. I really am liking what I'm seeing. And do you know what, it is exciting that Kobe Mainoo, who was playing in pre-season, looks like he's coming back. He looks good. And to be honest with you, Man United's academy hasn't been as good as we would like it to be, but there seems to be some decent midfielders coming through, because even Dan Gore, who's not had as much time, looks pretty good as well. So
he looks very good, yeah.
So that should be exciting. Score predictions, Ricky. I know you don't like it before a line-up, but I'm asking you anyway.
I'll just go 2-1 United, and they always do. For
so you think Sheffield United will score?
We don't keep many clean sheets. But we have kept. What have we done recently? We let 1 in against Brentford, didn't we? 3 in against Galatasaray. Yeah, I'll go 2-1.
Oh, so people are asking me to ask you about Anana as well.
Let's see.
Let's
just see how he goes. I've got this theory. I think I said it to you last week sometime, that if you pick your team right and you pass the ball around better and you score more goals and you make more chances and you have more time in possession, everybody will grow in confidence, including the goalkeeper. And I honestly believe that if he wouldn't have made as many mistakes, and any mistake that he had made might not have been so important, and it might not be in the spotlight. Do you understand what I mean? I just think that if we pick the team correctly, because he's getting it miles wrong. You know, people are saying like, you know, he's great, he's like you are, the man for the job. He's only picking about 4 players in the first team that I would be picking. Do you know what I mean?
And you're always right.
And if we picked the other players, we would keep the ball better. We pass it like we did against Palace. I mean, something else. People said to me, against Palace, they only had half. And I looked at it, they only had half the team playing. And I looked at the Palace team on the Saturday, and there's 5 players started on the Saturday that started on the Wednesday. And then when we played Brentford and played badly with the first team playing, they had more than 5 players missing injured. Do you understand what I mean? They had more than 5 players missing.
Ricky, I've got a proposition that I think somebody should take up. So if anybody's watching, I want a little bit of a cut out of this. They should do a programme on Ricky taking, it doesn't matter the standard of football team, but taking a football team and coaching them throughout a season and see how you get on. I would absolutely love to see it. All the behind the scenes, all the team talks, the way you go about it. I'd love to see it, Ricky. Somebody snap that up. What would you call it? Road to Greatness with Ricky Run.
When we were at that show, when we did a show at Manchester last year, the stage show, there was a lad in the audience there. I don't know if he's watching again.
We'll be there on December 11th. Show in Manchester. Get yourself down. So he asked me if I'd go and run his Sunday football team one day. And we swapped numbers, and I said I will. Or did we do it? I can't remember if we did it on Instagram. But we stayed in touch. And he must have. Our lives are so busy, aren't they? He must have asked me 5 times. I was a bit embarrassed in the end, because there was never once was I fobbing him off because I didn't want to do it. Every single time, I've just got to do this. I can't do it this week. And the season came to an end, and I never did it. Well, maybe get back in touch and we can get a documentary going on it. Travel Bug said, watch United since 1968 and Hannibal is class. Thank you so much for tuning in and getting your super chat across. Everybody's saying I would watch that new Netflix series. I mean, people saying the Beckham's getting a lot of talk. I think this one would be on the way. Ricky's Road to Glory. Call it Ricky's Rejects. Anyway, everyone, what a show. My score prediction, I'm going with 2-0. Don't ask me why. I'm just hoping. It's a Saturday night kickoff. We'll be watching it together, won't we? And I want to see something good. Sheffield United, Bramall Lane away on a Saturday night. Thank God it's after the international break because I'll be excited for it. And I just want to see a bit of football. Like Erik ten Hag says, he wants to see some football. But Ricky, thank you very much for coming back. Loved it.
I've enjoyed it as well. Thanks for asking me.
And everybody, make sure you hit a like on this video if you enjoyed my show with Ricky. And get your comments in down below. I'm sure there's many of them. I would love to read through them. Make sure you stay tuned throughout the week. We've got more content coming to you. Match day isn't far away. Mark will be live on the United stand just before the England watch along tonight as well. So yeah, that's where you can go and watch all the content, everyone. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you on the next one.